All right, so let's try a few more things here. Now, in the Splunk, we found the web server IP. So this is where we get to see something really quite valuable. Let's get the IP address of the web server. We saw this before. Here's one of the packets sent by an attacker. And the destination IP is here. So that's the IP address of the web server. I'm going to copy that. Now, if you consider this, this is where you begin to see the power of Splunk. If I search for source type HTTP, all the traffic going to a web server should be requests coming into the web server and then responses coming from it. The web server should always be a server and never be a client. And if you have proper traffic control on your network, you will enforce that so that nobody should be opening a browser on a web server and going out to the web and downloading something. There's two good reasons for that. One is you don't want people downloading random junk that might be malware onto a web server. And the second one is because attackers will attack you. And if they find a way to execute code on your server, the first thing they will try to do is to phone out to a command and control center server. And you don't want to allow that. So your server should only be a server. It should not have an ability to initiate connections going out. If you want to put a file on the server, you move them in another way. You download them somewhere else, scan them for viruses, and move them across your local network. So we would like to find traffic that went backwards here. So let's go to the client IP, and you see most of them go here. Let's just click one of these to get the format correctly. So now I've got client IP up there. And what I want to do is search for traffic where the client IP is my web server. That would be traffic going backwards through the network, coming from the web server and initiating a web request outward. Now, if I search right now, I'm going to find nothing because I left in I'mReallyNotBatman.com. And that is the domain name of my web server. So if my web server was going out somewhere else, that would not be in the event. So I need to get rid of that. Now these will be packets that go backwards through the network. And there are only a few of them. And this is where you can see why people are happy to pay so much money for Splunk. I had 1 million events, and this easily I found the 9 suspicious events, which are traffic running backwards through the network. And here I see, looks like some kind of binary data being downloaded. And more, and here I see a site it went to. This is a really suspicious looking URL. Prank glassine bracket jumping crab on a port of 1337. And here's a file name of a JPEG that was downloaded. So again, just looking through these, you can quickly find the answer to several more questions here. They ask you for the defacement file name and the domain name of the staging server hosting the defacement file. And we saw that. And now we can, you can also find that server's IP address. Just look for GET requests containing that pranking glass server. And then you can find other domains hosted on the same site. And I want to demonstrate this because this is pretty interesting. So I want to find the IP address. Now let's go down to this one. I want to find HTTP GET requests containing that domain name. So here's the domain name I want, prank glassine bracket. I'll copy that, and I want to find HTTP GET requests. So I'm going to put that in here for starters and see the requests that contain that. There probably won't be too many of them. All right, looks like there are 3 of them. And if I look at the HTTP method, be down here somewhere. Well, let's look through here and see. There's the HTTP method. All right. Must be in, there it is, HTTP method. All right, these are all gets. Okay, there's 2 of them. I'll get the gets. All right. And now that I've done that, I should be able to find the IP address easily. Here's the client IP, that's my web server. The destination IP, this is the IP address of the staging server. And these are servers used by criminals to host malware and do command and control, and they typically use the same server for many things. So now you can find out what else is on that server by just searching outside Splunk. The simplest thing you can do is just Google. All right, there we are, Google. Just for an IP address, you'll find people who store information about IP addresses like Alien Vault, Threat Crowd, Threat Miner, RobTex. These are all places that archive information about malicious IP addresses. So if you just try a couple of these, it'll tell you more information about what that IP address has been doing. It's an Amazon server, and it has had something called Wayne Core Incorporated. Here's one, poisonivy.com. And remember, that was the name of one of the attack vectors. That's probably the flag right there. There's more here. And there's a series of these services. And they'll tell you what other things have been hosted there and when. So this is often how you track down who's attacking you, what nation is attacking you, and also what other kinds of attacks might be related to this one. So there's a few more to find there. All right, I'll stop this one and make a separate video about the brute force attack a little later.